Ever set a goal in January and completely abandon it by February or even later that same day? You're not alone. And it's not because you lack willpower. It's because you're missing a system. Today, I'm showing you how to build one that actually works. Most people build goals based on what they think they should do. Lose weight, save money, lose weight, save money, get organized, learn a new skill. Sound familiar? But here's the thing. Goals without a system are just wishes, and wishes don't change your life. Systems do. So before we dive into goal-setting frameworks, we need to talk about the foundation that makes everything else work. The difference between self-care and self-soothing. Because understanding this is what separates goals that stick and goals that disappear. Self-care is doing what future you will thank you for. Going to bed early so you're not exhausted tomorrow. Cooking a healthy meal instead of grabbing fast food. Paying your bills on time so you're not stressed next month. Self-soothing is doing what feels good now. Scrolling TikTok until 2 a.m. Ordering takeout for the third night in a row. Ignoring that credit card statement because looking at it makes you a little nervous. Here's where it gets tricky. Self-soothing isn't necessarily the enemy, and it can be really beneficial sometimes. In fact, you need it sometimes. Did you have a brutal day at work? Ice cream and Netflix might be just what you need to decompress. The problem happens when self-soothing becomes your default response to discomfort. Real example. Let's say you start exercising. Self-care is going to the gym even when you don't feel like it. Self-soothing is skipping the gym because you're tired. But here's the nuance. If you're genuinely exhausted and need rest, that's self-care too. The difference is your honest intention. Ask yourself this. Am I doing this because it serves my long-term goals, or am I avoiding something uncomfortable? That question changes everything. You need two types of goals working together. Long-term goals are your destination. Where do you want to be in 6 months, a year, 5 years? These are driven by your values, what matters most to you. Short-term goals are your map, specific actions that you'll take this week, this month. Here's why both of those matter. I see people make two mistakes constantly. Mistake number one, they set huge long-term goals without breaking them down. I want to be debt-free. Okay, amazing. But what are you going to do this week to make that happen? Without short-term goals, you're just hoping really hard. Mistake number two, they get so focused on daily tasks that they forget why they're even doing them. You might hit your goal of saving $50 this week, but if you don't know you're saving for a house payment, it's easy to give up when life gets hard. Let me show you how these two things work together. Say your long-term goal is to run a 5K in 6 months. Your short-term goals might be weeks 1 and 2, walk 20 minutes 3 times a week. Week 3 to 4, walk and jog intervals 3 times a week. In weeks 5 to 6, jog 1 mile without stopping. See how each short-term goal is a stepping stone? That's the system. The long-term goal gives you direction. The short-term goal gives you traction. This is where SMART goals come in. It's a framework that turns vague wishes into actionable plans. Let me break down each piece with real examples. Okay, so the first one is specific. So instead of save money, you would say save $2,000 for a vacation to Disney World. Measurable. So instead of saying save regularly, you would say save $200 a month. Achievable. So you wouldn't say I'm going to save $10,000 in 2 months if you have a $30,000 a year salary. But $200 a month is 6.5% of my take-home pay, which I can cut from eating out. Relevant. Not save because I should. This vacation matters because quality time with my family is a core value. Time bound. Not someday. You would say by December 31st, 2025 or December 31st, 2026. We put all those things together. This is the SMART goal that we have. I'll save $2,000 for a Disney World vacation with my family by December 31st, 2026 by putting $200 a month into a dedicated savings account every month, which I'll fund by meal prepping instead of eating out. Here's what makes this powerful. When it's February and you're tempted to skip a month, you're not just breaking your savings goal. In that moment, you're choosing between takeout and one of your family members or yourself seeing Cinderella in person for the first time. That's what keeps you going. Okay, now it's your turn. Take one vague goal that you have and run it through the SMART goal system. Write it down. Seriously, write it down. If you need to pause the video, that's totally fine. I'll wait. But what happens if you fail? Because you will. I've failed at goals more times than I can count. I can count pretty high. Here's the secret nobody tells you. Failure isn't the opposite of success. It's part of the process. Every goal you've ever achieved came with setbacks that you probably don't even remember anymore. When you fail, ask yourself 3 questions. Question number 1, what went wrong? Be specific. Okay, so instead of saying, I'm lazy, you could say, I scheduled gym time at 6 a.m. and I am not a morning person. Question 2, what can I learn from this? Maybe you learn that you need an accountability partner, or that you need to prep your gym bag the night before, or that evening workout work better for your body. Question 3, what's one small thing I can do differently next time? Notice I said one thing. Don't overhaul your entire life. Just adjust one variable. A real example from my life, I tried to start a daily journaling habit. I failed several times. The first time I failed, I learned that I hate writing in the mornings. The second time, I learned that I need prompts instead of just blank pages. Third time, I learned that doing it for 5 minutes was better for me than doing it for 30 minutes. Now I've journaled almost daily for a year. It took a few failures to figure out what system worked for me. That's not failure, that's research. There's a few tools that can help you track all of this. Finch is great if you like gamifying your habit. You take care of a little bird as you complete tasks, and your little bird goes on adventures. It's very adorable. Notion is perfect if you want everything all in one place. Goals, trackers, notes, everything. Habitica turns your life into an RPG game where you level up by completing tasks. Find out what works for your brain. The best system is the one you'll actually use. Here's what I want you to remember. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to be consistent. Goals are not about willpower. They're about systems. They're about choosing self-care over self-soothing even when it's hard. They're about taking big dreams and turning them into small steps. And they're about learning from failure instead of letting failure stop you. Here's your homework. Again. Pick one goal. Run it through the SMART framework, write it down, and take the first small step this week. You've got this. And if you fail, hey, that's just data. Adjust, try again. If this helped, drop a comment with the goal that you're working on. I'd love to hear it. If you want more practical adulting advice, subscribe because we're just getting started.